Lost my vision in my left eye after a skin treatment in Korea.
Hi, dermatologist here. I just want to start out by saying thank you to Esther, the original poster of that video. It takes a lot of vulnerability to share that story, and I think it's gonna be helpful to so many people. The second thing that I'm gonna say before I address this is that this can happen anywhere, anywhere in the world with injectors of any skill level, any level of experience. For those of you who haven't seen Esther's original video yet, what she says is that she was being injected with Juvloc volume by a doctor and immediately had vision loss in one eye. I don't have Juvloc volume here in the US because it's not FDA approved, but looking it up, it looks like it has hyaluronic acid and PLLA in it. So hyaluronic acid is quite often used in fillers, PLLA also. It's known here by the brand name Sculptra, so some of you may have heard of that. It looks like this particular product is being sold as a skin booster or collagen stimulator. And I've heard that a lot with some products lately, like even some that we have here in the US. People will say, oh, Sculptra is a biostimulator. It's not a filler, when in fact, Sculptra is a filler. It's just that the way that it's used now is a little bit different. And because these are the same substances, they're going to carry some similar risks, maybe in, different likelihoods, but they're still there. Now, I do a lot of filler in my practice, and I have a lot of people who come to me that have had filler before, and I tell every single one of them about the risk of blindness before the procedure. And most of them tell me I had no idea about that because they're not being counseled on it. I know it's very unlikely. It's never happened to one of my patients. But the reason I want people to know is because if that happens, it is an emergency. If somebody is in my exam chair and they start to experience vision loss, I will immediately treat that as an emergency. I have a protocol that I do to recover their vision. And I want them to know that if this happens after they leave my office, they need to immediately go to the emergency room. This is why, generally speaking, I think people need to go to aesthetic providers that they trust and ask a lot of questions about what to do if something goes wrong and what can go wrong. Please ask questions and be sure that you're in capable hands. These are medical procedures, and I quite often say people who are performing them should know how to handle the complications before they even know how to do the procedure itself. Now, a word about medical tourism. Unfortunately, it's something that I've seen being promoted by content creators, influencers, all over social media, sometimes, recently with undisclosed ads. Every procedure carries risks. Something can go wrong. So if somebody is going to a different country to do a procedure, they need to be prepared to deal with the complications in that country where maybe you don't know the healthcare system, maybe you don't know the language, and you got to navigate that while dealing with a medical issue. And sometimes complications don't happen until after you get back. So you have to find somebody else to take care of you in your home country when you may not know the specifics of what you had done. That original poster said that, she was supposed to return home to the US, but has stayed much longer in Korea while trying to find some sort of solution and reach a settlement. So, yeah, there's also legal implications in another country. In addition to that, I've seen a lot of content around people going in and getting like 7, 8, 9, 10 treatments in a day, which I gotta say is ridiculous. I know that in some of these places they rely on volume to make money. And that's why these treatments are cheaper there. But it's always left me with a lot of questions like, are people being appropriately counseled on the potential risks of each of those procedures? Do we know what it means about the risks and benefits of those procedures now that they're being stacked? And don't get me wrong, I stack procedures in my practice, but I have a very specific approach to that. And usually it's doing 2 at a time, occasionally 3. Never 7 to 10. Because if there's a downside, best case scenario, it's that you're negatively impacting the efficacy of some of those procedures, and worst case scenario, you're increasing the likelihood of complications from each of those procedures by doing them all at once. And if you have a finite time in that place and you want to get everything done, like, yeah, of course you're going to do more at once versus doing it at home in a stepwise fashion. So again, thank you to that original poster, Esther. It was very brave to share your story, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. And to everybody else, try to learn something from this story and trust your gut. If something does not feel right, like, you need to address it.